What if I told you most billionaires were not smarter than you, not luckier than you, not born special, but simply raised differently? Think about that for a second. Because we always look at billionaires at the finish line, private jets, companies, power, money, but we almost never ask the real question: who trained their mind before they ever became rich? Because success doesn't start at 30, it starts at 7. It starts at the dinner table, at the words parents use, at the habits installed quietly every single day. And when you study people like Jensen Huang, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, you notice something strange. Their childhoods were different. Not easier, different. Sometimes harder, sometimes stricter, sometimes uncomfortable, but always intentional. Because billionaire kids are not raised for comfort, they're raised for capability. And that's where rule number 1 begins. Rule number 1. Comfort is dangerous. Most parents try to protect their kids from pain. Rich mindset parents do the opposite. They introduce struggle early. Not cruelty, not trauma, but responsibility. Small pressure, small discomfort, because discomfort builds strength. Think about it. If a child never faces rejection, how will they handle business failure? If a child never works hard, how will they handle competition? If a child never loses, how will they learn resilience? Jeff Bezos worked at McDonald's as a teenager. Warren Buffett delivered newspapers in freezing cold mornings. Elon Musk faced bullying and isolation. None of their parents said, "Let me make life easy for you." Instead, they said, "Life is tough. Learn to be tougher." Because soft childhoods create fragile adults. Hard childhoods create strong minds. And strong minds create billionaires. Rule number 2. Money is explained early. Here's a mistake most families make. They hide money talk. Don't talk about finances. Don't talk about investing. Don't talk about business. So kids grow up financially blind. But billionaire households treat money like language. Kids learn it early. They hear words like profit, assets, risk, investment, ownership, while normal kids hear salary, allowance, spending. See the difference? One teaches ownership. The other teaches dependence. Warren Buffett was buying stocks at 11. Mark Cuban was selling garbage bags at 12. They weren't playing rich, they were learning wealth mechanics. Because when you understand money early, you stop chasing jobs and start chasing opportunities. And that shift alone changes everything. Here's the truth most people don't like hearing. Billionaires are not accidents. They are conditioned, programmed, installed, just like software. Different inputs, different outputs. And we've only covered 2 rules. 5 more are coming, and they might completely change how you see parenting forever. Now, here's where things get interesting. Because most people think billionaire kids are raised with luxury. Big houses, private schools, everything easy. But the truth is almost the opposite. Yes, they may have resources, but mentally, they're trained harder, not softer. Because wealthy families understand something most parents don't. Obedient kids grow up safe. Independent thinkers grow up powerful. And that brings us to rule number 3. They are taught how to think, not what to think. Read that again, because this changes everything. Most schools train obedience, memorize, repeat, follow instructions, get grades. But billionaire parents don't want followers, they want decision makers. Because employees follow instructions, owners make instructions. So instead of saying, "Do this," they ask, "What would you do?" Instead of saying, "This is the answer," they ask, "Why do you think that?" This one small shift builds something powerful, critical thinking. Look at Elon Musk. His parents didn't spoon-feed solutions. He learned by breaking things, fixing things, experimenting, even failing. Jeff Bezos' parents let him turn the garage into a lab, destroying parts, building random inventions, messy, loud, uncomfortable. But that's how builders are created, not through silence, through exploration. Because exploration creates curiosity, and curiosity creates innovation. Normal parenting says, don't break it, don't risk it, be careful. But billionaire parenting says, try it, test it, fail fast, learn faster. Because failure is not dangerous, ignorance is. And this is why many rich kids grow up starting companies, while most kids grow up waiting for permission. They were trained to think independently since childhood, and independent thinkers change industries. Now here's Rule 4, and this one is uncomfortable, especially for modern parenting, because it sounds harsh, but it works. Rule 4. They are given responsibility early, not rewards, responsibility. Most kids today are treated like guests in their own homes. No duties, no pressure, no expectations, just entertainment, phones, games, comfort. But responsibility is what builds competence, and competence builds confidence. Not praise, not motivation speeches, real responsibility. Warren Buffett filed taxes as a teenager. Mark Cuban worked multiple small jobs. Sarah Blakely sold fax machines door to door. These weren't punishments, these were training. Because when a child handles responsibility early, something changes inside. They stop thinking, someone will save me, and start thinking, I will figure it out. And that mindset is priceless. Here's a psychological truth. Confidence does not come from compliments. It comes from competence, from doing hard things, from solving problems, from carrying weight. That's why many billionaire kids aren't fragile. They don't panic easily. They don't quit quickly, because life already trained them early. While other kids were told, focus only on school, billionaire kids were told, learn life, learn money, learn decisions, learn consequences. Because adulthood doesn't care about your grades, it cares about your capability. So think about this. If a child never carries responsibility, how will they carry a company? If a child never makes decisions, how will they lead teams? If a child never struggles, how will they survive business? Exactly, they won't. And that's why, quietly, behind the scenes, before the world sees success, before the cameras, before the money, these kids are being trained like future leaders, not protected like fragile glass. And we're only halfway, because the next two rules are even more surprising. They're not about money, they're not about intelligence, they're about environment and mindset, and they might be the biggest difference of all.
By now you might be thinking, maybe billionaire kids are just lucky. Maybe they just had money, better schools, better homes, better connections. But here's something surprising. Money alone doesn't create billionaires. Environment does. Because environment shapes thinking, and thinking shapes destiny. Put the same child in two different environments, you get two completely different futures. And wealthy families understand this deeply. They don't just raise kids, they design surroundings very carefully. And that brings us to rule number 5. Rule 5. They control the environment, not just the education. Most parents focus only on school, grades, homework, exams. But billionaire parents focus on something bigger. Who is around the child? What conversations they hear? What problems they see? What ideas they are exposed to? Because exposure changes belief, and belief changes behavior. If a kid grows up hearing jobs are safe, money is hard, rich people are lucky, they grow up small. But if a kid grows up hearing, let's invest, let's build, let's acquire, let's scale, their brain starts thinking bigger without even realizing it. Dinner table conversations matter a lot. In normal homes, you hear office gossip, complaints, bills, stress. But in high-performing homes, you hear business ideas, opportunities, strategy, markets, growth. Children sit quietly, listening, absorbing, learning how adults think before they even understand money. Think about Jeff Bezos. Dinner conversations about science, curiosity, future technology. Warren Buffett talking about stocks and companies at a young age. Mark Zuckerberg growing up around programmers and logic. See the pattern? It's not luck, it's exposure. Because when something feels normal, you pursue it. When something feels impossible, you avoid it. If wealth feels normal, you chase wealth. If success feels normal, you expect success. And expectation changes action completely. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Rule 6, and honestly, this might be the biggest one of all. Rule 6, they teach long-term thinking, not instant gratification. This is where most people lose, because modern life trains patience out of us. Fast food, fast money, fast success, quick dopamine, quick results. Everyone wants wins today. But billionaire kids are trained differently. They're taught patience, delayed rewards, long games. Because big success always takes time. Always. Warren Buffett didn't get rich overnight. He compounded money for decades. Jeff Bezos lost money for years building Amazon. Elon Musk almost went bankrupt multiple times. If they needed fast success, they would have quit. But they didn't, because their minds were trained for the long game. Billionaire parents teach something simple. Don't chase quick money. Build systems. Don't chase attention. Build skills. Don't chase shortcuts. Build foundations. Because foundations last. Shortcuts collapse. Imagine two kids. One gets everything instantly. Toys, phones, money, comfort. The other waits, works, saves, builds. Who grows stronger mentally? Exactly, the second one. Because patience builds discipline. Discipline builds focus. Focus builds mastery, and mastery builds wealth. This is why many successful people look calm, even under pressure. They're not rushing, they're not panicking, because they think in years, not days, in decades, not weeks. And that thinking style changes every decision. While others say, I want money now, they say, how do I build something that pays me for life? While others say, I want success fast, they say, how do I become unstoppable? See the difference? One is chasing, the other is building. And quietly, without noise, without show, without drama, these kids are learning patience, strategy, environment control, long-term thinking before they even turn 18. And that's dangerous, in a good way. Because when life hits hard, they don't break, they adapt, they wait, they win. And now, there's only one rule left, the final rule, the one that ties everything together. And honestly, it might shock you the most, because it has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with intelligence, nothing to do with talent. It's about identity, and it changes everything.
By now you've seen the pattern. It's not luck, not talent, not even money. It's training, mental training, installed slowly since childhood through pressure, responsibility, environment, long-term thinking, all of it shaping something deeper, something most people never talk about: identity. And this is the final rule, the most important rule, the one that ties everything together. Rule 7. They are raised to see themselves as winners, not victims. This sounds small, but it changes everything, because behavior follows identity, always. If a child grows up thinking, life is unfair, people are lucky, I can't do this, they stop trying. But if a child grows up thinking, I will figure it out, problems are normal, failure is temporary, they keep moving, no matter what happens. Billionaire kids are not told, be careful, stay small, play safe. They're told something very different. You can build, you can lead, you can solve, you can win. And after hearing that for years, it becomes belief, and belief becomes action, and action becomes reality. Look at almost every billionaire story. Elon Musk risking everything multiple times. Jeff Bezos quitting a safe job. Sarah Blakely starting with $5,000. None of them acted scared, because they didn't see themselves as fragile. They saw themselves as capable, and capable people take risks. Fragile people avoid them. This is why identity matters more than skill, because skills can be learned, but identity decides whether you even try. Two kids can have the same intelligence, the same education, the same opportunities, but the one who believes, I can, will always beat the one who believes, maybe.
Billionaire parents install confidence differently. Not fake praise, not empty motivation, real confidence, built from competence. They don't say, "You're amazing," for nothing. They say, "You handled that well. You solved that problem. You earned that." Because earned confidence lasts. Fake confidence collapses. And here's something powerful. These kids grow up not fearing failure, because failure was normalized early. Lose, learn, try again. Simple. So when life hits hard, when businesses crash, when money disappears, when people doubt them, they don't break, they adjust. Because their identity says, "I am a builder." Builders don't quit. Meanwhile, most people grow up protected, comfortable, praised for small things, avoiding discomfort, avoiding risk. So when real life hits, they panic, because their identity was never trained for pressure. This is the hidden difference. Not IQ, not luck, not connections. Identity. One group grows up thinking, "How do I survive?" The other grows up thinking, "How do I dominate?" See the gap? It's huge, and it starts at home. So now think about this. If you took these 7 rules, discomfort, money education, independent thinking, responsibility, environment, long-term patience, strong identity, and you installed them in any child, what do you think would happen? Exactly. Their odds of success would skyrocket. Because billionaires are not born, they are conditioned. Just like athletes, just like soldiers, just like champions. Different training, different results. And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. If you want a different future, you don't need luck. You need different habits, different environment, different mindset, installed early, repeated daily, for years. Because small daily conditioning creates massive lifetime outcomes. If this video changed how you see success, if you learned something new today, like the video, share it with someone who needs this mindset, and subscribe. Because on this channel, we don't just talk about billionaires. We break down how they're raised, how they think, and how you can build the same mindset too.